Hey there, this is Aryan Archive, and obviously, I'm at a beach. Alright, so the break in this format is, well, I have to answer a question. What was Nancy Pelosi doing in Taiwan? And to answer this question, we probably actually need to step back to a previous stream, in which I stated outright that the Democrats have been running war games and how the 2022 congressional and senatorial elections play out, and the dominant war game result, the result that gave the Democrats the absolute best chance of success, chance to hold on to power, is one where they just fold. And the conceptual idea that's been wargamed is that Biden is taken down. Either he resigns voluntarily or is impeached. Kamala resigns voluntarily or is impeached, thus putting Nancy Pelosi as President Pelosi. And as I think may help clarify some of the actions that we are now seeing from Nancy Pelosi. She is preparing to become president. She is mimicking actions taken by the kind of actions that Trump would take. And this is where I kind of have to circle back around to the whole concept, the implementation, the war gaming itself, in that the results of the war games that the Democrats run are normally hilarious. And they're hilarious for a number of reasons. But the best way I think I can explain this is it's like trying to teach a cat how to play skee-ball. Now, if you don't know what skee-ball is, you've probably seen a carnival or arcade game where you roll a ball along a ramp and you try to get that ball into concentric hoops. That is skee-ball. Now, you can teach a cat to play skee-ball. Cats are one of the few other creatures that make games of things, so they can pick up the concept that you push a ball or you paw bat a ball and it goes up this ramp and it goes into this hole and, hey, you get a treat. Now, you can teach a cat to play skee-ball, but the cat will never understand why the scoring matters. They'll never understand why getting the ball into that center ring is more valuable than the outer rings. And more to the point, the cat doesn't care. The cat doesn't care about the concept of scoring. It doesn't care about the game. All the cat cares about is, well, what has it learned? It has learned that if it plays this game in this way, it gets this result. In the same way, the Democrats are not able to see eye to eye with foundationalists, conservative, Republicans, whatever you want to call people who are opposite of the Democrat agenda. And that is because the Democrats just wholeheartedly reject ideals that conservatives, foundationalists, Republicans, and everyone on the political right spectrum hold dear. Democrats reject the idea of a limited government. They believe government should be, or they demonstrate the belief that a government is a solution to every problem. But Democrats reject the capability of a citizen to arm themselves for defense against threats and against the government, because an armed citizen is a citizen that can tell the government, stand down. So keeping this in mind, that while the Democrats can mimic the results, and they can get spookily accurate results with these war games, but because they don't understand the concepts of why Republicans, conservatives, foundationalists, whatever you want to call the right-wing political spectrum, because they do not understand that political spectrum, the result they obtain, while accurate, may be hollow. And that's exactly what we're seeing with Pelosi. She's taking trips to Taiwan in order to tick off the CCP. Now, she's doing this because she has the metadata that the CCP is in big trouble. The CCP spent so much money and resources on digital currency control, the calculatory control, that the CCP ran out of energy resources to, well, keep their citizens sheltered. And if you have citizens who have no heat or no air conditioning and are miserable, A, they're not very good workers, B, they suddenly start talking about taking the government down. This is a big problem for the CCP. And this is why the CCP, this ties into, this is why the CCP has banned cryptocurrency mining and is forcing cryptocurrency miners to sell off the broken and old graphics cards at a loss, simply for the fact that the CCP does not have the resources, the physical resources, the ability to generate the electrical power to drive cryptocurrency control. And same thing with Russia. This is why Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia needed resources. Ukraine had resources. Russia went to where the resources are. It's not really that complicated. Anyway, so bringing this back to Pelosi. The actions that we're taking, I think, are the segue into Pelosi is acting presidential. She is performing the actions that the Biden administration cannot possibly take on its own. And more importantly, because President Biden is owned by the CCP, has taken millions, if not hundreds of millions, if not potentially over $1 billion over the years from the Chinese Communist Party. Biden's going to tell Pelosi to stand down. Now, how is this going to look? And this brings up a point I actually saw on a cable news network, and where somebody made the comment that Pelosi went to Taiwan to do some shopping. That she went there to get some more insider trade deals. You know, what big technologies are you working on? What can I invest in? What can I make profit off of? And okay, fine. Yeah, that's probably a pretty fair argument. That may be one of the reasons why Pelosi went there, but I don't think that's all she was shopping for. The thing is, the Taiwanese have a very good intelligence agency. I would actually go so far as to say the Taiwanese intelligence agency, when it comes to the Chinese Communist Party, is probably more effective than the Mossad. So we're talking scary effective here, and I believe that if anyone has hard physical evidence over just how much money the Chinese government has paid the Biden family, it's probably the Taiwanese government. They probably have that kind of information, and I suspect it is very likely that Pelosi went and talked to the Taiwanese government to get that information. Now, if that's what Pelosi is shopping for, proof of how much money the Bidens have made off of the Chinese Communist Party, Nancy is definitely setting up for an impeachment. She's either going to tell Joseph's handlers, you back down, you pull your parrot, or this goes public, or more devastatingly, she goes ahead and does it anyway. She just breaks it out, calls a special session of Congress, and just says, hey guys, look what I found. Look what the Taiwanese handed me. These are bank records. These are financial transactions from the Chinese Communist Party to one Joe Biden. Currently, what's his address? The White House, USA. Is Pelosi that mean? Oh, yes. She is definitely that mean. Is she that smart enough to have figured out that the Taiwanese intelligence probably has the dirt on Joe Biden? Probably. Pelosi? You can't stay out of prison as long as Pelosi has without having a modicum of intelligence. I mean, she might be a Democrat, but that does not mean she lacks intelligence. She may reject ideals. She may reject rational thought. She may reject sane thought, but that doesn't mean that she's stupid. And this could be her power play. If Pelosi is successfully able to force Biden out, next question is Kamala. So what else could Pelosi have been shopping for? We've never heard any hints of Kamala taking Chinese money, have we? Can we really look around and say that for definitively that Kamala Harris has never taken money from the Chinese government? Can we honestly say that she's never slept with a Chinese partisan? For all of the political favors that Kamala Harris has garnered over the years, and for everything that she's done, for how she herself is kept out of jail, are we really so certain that Taiwanese intelligence agencies don't have any dirt on Kamala? If I was Kamala, I wouldn't be taking that bet. If I was Kamala, I'd know exactly who all I went to bed with, and I probably have a pretty good idea of their political affiliations, and I would be very, very worried about what information Pelosi may now be in possession of. So, that's my hot take on why Pelosi went to Taiwan. She's And there are other factors here, and yes, I am going to address them because I cannot not address them. The Democrats are the party of war. The Democrats are the party of class differentiation. The Democrats are the party of you should be at each other's throats. The Democrats are the party of you should hate you and you should hate you. Fine. Pelosi went to Taiwan to spark a fight with the Chinese Communist Party. Why would Pelosi do that? Well, obviously, if Pelosi sparks a fight with the Chinese Communist Party, then the U.S. Army, which is bound to answer any threats from the Chinese Communist Party, is going to have a membership drive. And what do you call a membership drive? A draft. And who normally responds to the draft without dodging it? Conservatives, foundationalist Republicans. We just need to go back and look at World War II, the First World War, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Saudi Arabia, the Iran conflict, Afghanistan. We just need to look at the wars that the United States has fought, and chances are the soldiers on the ground, the actual soldiers out there fighting the fight, identify as conservative, foundationalist, Republican, or along a right-wing political ideology. Very few soldiers, at least very few enlisted soldiers or conscripted soldiers, identify as Democrat. Gee, I wonder why that is. So, if we have a war with China and a vast swath of American population is drafted to go and fight this war, what does that do to the voting reserves? Oh, that's right. The Democrats, the ideological socialists, will avoid getting drafted. They'll go to another country. They may come back to vote, but they won't be there when the notification of the draft arrives. Rather, it'll be the political opponents of Pelosi's, those blasted conservative foundationalist Republicans. Those will be the ones who get conscripted into service. Still think that Pelosi may not know what she's doing? Still think that she didn't have ulterior motives for going to Taiwan? Well, she had ulterior motives. She's trying to act presidentially. She's trying to show that she can do what Trump did. She's trying to show that she's a better president than Biden will ever be. And yeah, we have to keep in mind that what Pelosi really wants to avoid here, what she absolutely positively wants to get out in front of, get away from, is she wants to stop a ping pong ball that has happened in the past. And we need to go back and need to look and see what happens when there were unpopular presidents that suffered a massive, devastating second half of their presidency when the House and Senate flipped and control went to the opposite party. For some presidents, the opposite party then would just run a bill through, it'd go to the president's desk, the president would veto it, it'd go back, and literally on the same day that it was sent back, Congress would just override the veto and would just push through whatever Congress wanted to push through. And Pelosi wants to avoid that. And this circles back around to, again, the Democrats' war games may be hilarious, but that does not mean that they are inaccurate. By taking Biden out and by taking Kamala out and by pushing Pelosi into the presidency, what does this do? What does this do if Pelosi is the one who leads the charge? Well, first of all, it blunts the damage. It blunts the damage of the effect that Biden has had on the economy. The rank-and-file Democrats who are underwater, no pun intended, considering where I am. The Democrats who are underwater, who have no chance of electoral victory because of Biden, if Pelosi is the one who takes them out and they rush along and Biden went too far, and as the rank and file pushed back, they could save their electoral chances. Instead of being a bloodbath with the conservative, foundationalist Republicans holding a supermajority in the House and the Senate, it could remain an even tie if Pelosi is the one who leads the charge to take Biden down. So that's a very important factor to keep in mind, that Pelosi is trying very apparently, very bluntly trying to blunt, well, that's redundant, bluntly trying to blunt the damage that Biden and Kamala are inflicting upon the Democrat Party. Now, you may raise up your hand and go, but Kamala hasn't done anything. hasn't had to. It's the fact that she hasn't done anything. She's been the most useless vice president since Al Gore. At least within my lifetime, Dan Quayle at least managed to get headlines, at least managed to do stuff. I mean, say what you want about Mike Pence, at least he was there in Congress, or at least he was there, okay, yeah, Congress, Senate, he was there doing legislative work. I mean, you at least saw him on camera, you at least saw him giving speeches, he at least was doing something. I mean, Dan, you just kind of look back through the vice, I'm trying to think of who Carter's vice president is, but I can't remember it. Honestly, that was before my time. So, Kamala Harris, and it's just that laugh. And everyone mocks the laugh. And every time I hear Joy Reid take up for Kamala Harris, I just want to look Joy Reid in the eyes and go, hey, you do realize that your entire party all has the reaction to Kamala Harris of, she dumb. That's it. She dumb. That's all they got to say. She dumb. Now, could Kamala be taken down very easily? As I've said from the beginning, Kamala was only chosen because she is an easy target to take down. With her history, with everything that she's done, with everyone that she's slept with all the crimes that she has committed while holding an office, yeah, taking Kamala down isn't exactly a challenge. That's why she's there. She was intended to be the target, the thing that, they knew Biden was going to gaffe a few things. They knew Biden was going to screw up a few things, but that was like Kamala there just to take the heat. But Kamala then just didn't do anything, and that's a big problem. Kamala hasn't done anything. She hasn't done anything to take notice of. She hasn't managed to stay in the spotlight because she's just embarrassing. So yeah, again, these are the hot takes. This is why Pelosi went to Taiwan. She's shopping for data. She probably got it, and she's probably going to. For all I know, the timeline on getting Biden out of office may have moved up since the term saber rattling has been used by the Chinese Communist Party. Is the United States actually heading to war with China? I think that's what Pelosi would like. I think that's what the Democrats would like. Is that what they're actually going to get? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'm Aaron Archive, and I'll catch you later.